We are so thrilled to be partnering with Hinge. Hinge is the dating app designed to be deleted. As you all know, I'm a huge Hinge advocate as I met my partner of almost 3 years on the app. Even before meeting him, Hinge was always my go-to app because I met more relationship-minded people here and had some great dates. Clearly, I haven't been on the app for a little while, but I re-downloaded it to check out some of the new features. One that stood out to me was the voice prompt, my best friend's take on why you should date me, where your friend can hype you up. Not only does this make the profile creation less daunting, but it's not always easy to see your own green flags. So to test it out, I asked Yue some fun prompts to get her take on what I could put if I was dating again. So the first one, how long have we known each other? What was your first impression of me and how has that changed?
Julie and I have known each other for almost 10 years. My first impression of Julie was that she's very social, but I've learned that she has a lot more depth to her beyond the social butterfly that she is.
My next prompt, what do you think are my green flags?
I would say she's deeply loyal. She believes in love, curious mindset, and she is fearlessly ambitious.
And then last but not least, what kind of friend am I?
Julie is the kind of friend who will always have your back, no matter what.
Damn, that feels nice to hear. So download Hinge and try voice prompts today. Then find someone worth deleting the app for. I was so excited to get my shipment from Last Bottle Wines in the mail the other day, full of incredible red wines, all from Napa Valley. I love wine tasting, so having this to my door couldn't be happier. Also, couldn't be more excited that today's episode is brought to you by Last Bottle Wines. If you don't know already, they're a Napa-based online wine shop with a twist. They offer just one handpicked wine per day until it sells out, and they're always at incredible prices. We're talking 30 to 70% off retail. And the best part is that there's no subscriptions, no fees, and no minimum purchase. And I could not be more excited to bring this offer right now because they're having a marathon sale, which is coming up March 28th and 29th. Even better, we're offering Dateable listeners 10% off your first order with code DATEABLE. So if you are a wine lover like me, this is a great time to join. And did I mention that shipping is 100% free? So what are you waiting for? Mark your calendar for March 28th and 29th or get on it earlier if you want. You can sign up at lastbottlewines.com and use code DATEABLE and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine.
The Dateable podcast is an insider's look into modern dating that the Huffington Post calls one of the top 10 podcasts about love and sex. On each episode, we'll talk to real daters about everything from sex parties to sex droughts, date fails to diaper fetishes, and first moves to first loves. I'm your host, Yue Xu, former dating coach turned dating sociologist. You'll also hear from my co-host and producer, Julie Krafchick, as we explore this crazy dateable world. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating. I just have to clarify, it is about dating and not about data, as some people have assumed, according to Julie's coworker, who mistakenly thought it was a show about data.
It can be, right?
Could be riveting. Actually, today's show is sort of about data.
Hello.
Hello. We've actually never had a guest welcome our listeners before. You are a first, Amit. They're going to be wondering who you are.
I welcome you to the show.
Wait, whose show is this?
Yeah.
And Amit also smoking up at the same time.
One has to.
You are
a
first for so many things.
Yeah.
Not only did he interject during our intro, he's also smoking up as we speak. You're the best guest ever. But I guess now I can introduce who you are.
Okay.
Amit in the studio here, who's getting high. He is 38 years old, originally from Mumbai, been in San Francisco for 8 years with a stint in Boston in between. He's married, but also in an open relationship and polyamorous. Basically just checked all the boxes except for single.
Yeah, I wanted to select all. That's what I wanted to do.
That is so modern dating right now. Yeah. It's like, I'm married, but, and
so it's multiple options.
Multiple options. So this is what he wrote to us. He said, in early 2019, I felt like I was running low on testosterone. And as a result, a low workout capacity and low libido. I decided to biohack my way to higher levels using non-invasive, non-medical methods. I like to share what I did, why and how, and its results. This is sciencey, so maybe this is a data show. I don't know.
Yes. It's like I need to put in like these disclaimers, right? Like, I'm not a health professional. I'm not giving any advice.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This is your personal
purely a guy
situation.
who just wants to get it up whenever he
Right.
can. That's just a simple baseline.
Like probably many men that were listening to this right now.
Yeah.
I guess like to start, like how did you even know that you were kind of running low on
where's your point of
testosterone?
comparison?
Yeah, so there's the data part, right? I got myself tested, but even before that, I just thought that my workout, the amount of weight that I was using was so much lower than what I used to. And granted, I'm comparing myself to when I was 21, 22. I used to bench 180, 190, and I was kind of like just topping off at 60. And so it's just like, like there's something, yes, I need to change my diet. I need to change so many other things, but maybe it's just my, testosterone level. And I guess at the same time, I'd also read up this research that American testosterone levels are going down by 2% per year. It used to be 1%, now it's 2% per year.
Interesting.
So and that's an average, right? And so like clearly some men are losing more.
I would just think I was out of shape. Like why did you...
Or I would just think I was old, which is what I think right
which
now.
is part of
Did
it,
this
right?
like go to your sex life? Like how did you like...
Yes. So
Okay.
So, and this is probably the first time I'm talking about this in public, right? Outside
love
of
it.
private.
Keep smoking.
Keep smoking, exactly. That's why I needed this.
It's not liquid courage, it's smoke courage.
Smoke courage. For anyone listening, this is the XJ13, which I highly recommend.
But not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Thanks
I'm
for
not
that
getting paid.
tip, in addition to many more to come.
Yes. Yeah, so I think age is part of it, and testosterone kind of goes down for men in general. And I think libido is where I think I was feeling it a lot more. I just couldn't get it up as reliably as I could, and keep it up long enough for the entire ride. So,
And did your partner notice as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Really?
I mean, this was
So
a
this was
conversation.
your wife?
Yes. So she noticed, and we had a conversation. There was in the beginning, it is just you just get annoyed at each other and frustrated. Like, and I'm kind of like trying to figure out if it is, if it's you, not me. And at some point, I'm like, you know what? I don't think it's her problem. It is my problem.
Let's just go back a little bit to the root of this issue. Is that I've had this conversation with so many people about how society believes that the man should be able to get it up all the time. He should be horny and he should want sex all the time. Yep. And so for women who encounter a partner who doesn't want to have sex with them or can't get it up, we take it personally.
Yes.
Because we think, well, you're supposed to be horny all the time. Right. What is it about me that's making me less attractive to you?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of discussion around there's all kinds of sex products are mostly women oriented. Like when women go for therapy, women go and when you go for marriage counseling, it's almost as if I'm fine. The girlfriend or the wife is having problems and she needs to figure that out. I just don't believe in that. Yes, there is a part of it. Yes, there is a conversation that you need to have. But I think to me, I can see it. I don't want to deny it.
So is this a new issue, or do you feel like this had happened before, in your marriage or in your past?
In my past, no, not as consistent. And so in the past year, it was happening more consistently. So that is something that I'm like, you know what, life is short and I need to, enjoy the rest of it. And this happens to be part of it. And so I need just to, so yes, I mean, once in a while when I was younger, it happened, but most of it was because of alcohol. If I'm drinking too much, I know it happens. And so I just avoid it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so I just avoid, if I feel like it's happening, I try to, drink less anyways.
Right.
But this was happening even without drinking it.
Well, it's tough because I know this happened to a friend of mine with a couple different people, and her point was once it happens once, it almost gets in the man's head.
Yeah.
So every time they go to have sex, it's a mental block that's happening.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that is part of the annoyance as well, where you feel especially for men, there's no switch, right? Unless you're 19 and you snap a finger and it's up. At this age, in my late 30s, there's no way you can just snap and bring it up. If you get frustrated by the experience itself, then you feel it's going to happen again, and then the performance anxiety kicks in, and it was happening to me all the time.
And it's not a topic that we discuss with both genders. I think men discuss it with each other, but we don't really discuss it with each other as partners.
Right.
So it's good that we're talking about this now, because I've definitely encountered this with previous partners. And I definitely thought there was something wrong with me or something wrong with them. I didn't think there was something wrong in general. And it's good to know that there is a solution, apparently. What was your plan of attack?
Plan of attack, yeah. So I think the approach I was taking for this, as I take for many other things, I wanted to, one is set a timeline. So I wanted to fix this in 2 months, but do it the all natural way. I mean, that was most important to me. Like, I know, therapy exists, and like, there are companies that are doing a pretty good job in that, but I just didn't want to deal with the side effects. Like, I know I have GI issues, and some of these therapies have, will attack those conditions. And so I wanted to be all natural. Now, I did use supplements. I did use some of those, but most of the supplements I used were all natural, like, roots and
no
powders.
Viagra.
No Viagra. Oh, no way. Like sildenafil, Cialis, tadalafil, all of them cause so many GI issues. Most men know that, but just because they're so excited, like you just pop a few pills, and then the next couple of days you're going through a bad phase. But then you don't
and
talk
also
about
just
that.
the side effects are really scary. I mean, the commercials always say if you experience an erection for 8 hours or longer, you're like, what the fuck? I think at hour 2 there's something wrong. Like, why 8 hours? You're at work for 8 hours. I think it takes just a little bit less than 8 hours for you to know something's fucking wrong.
Is there any stats of like what age things start to kind of like become more prevalent?
Like, I can't speak to what age, like every human is different, every man is different, but there's I looked this up, which is like, the range for testosterone is 270 to 1070.
Wow.
Nanograms, huge range. And, the averages are in the 600s, but it's healthy to be, from 400 to 600. It's totally healthy. And so, but I was in the low 500s. So, that is something that I wasn't too low, but I still wasn't in the 600s where I should be. And
it's not alarming.
It's not alarming. I've had alarming other issues, but like not this one. At the same time, I was just like, why wouldn't I want to be in the 600s? And so I spent 2 months, and thankfully,
what a good student you
I know.
are.
This is so good. You did such good research. You took a test.
That's like someone who's like in the 10th percentile for SATs, and they're like, but I could get in the 1%.
Hey, wait, your sex life is on the line?
That's true.
Well, if you're South Asian, that's
yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's an Asian thing.
Part of the stereotype.
You need that A+.
Yeah, exactly. A is not good enough.
My testosterone levels must get to the best.
Yeah, must surpass all of them.
No, but I think, I did get it up to in the 600s, but, and I know it feels better. My partner feels better.
Right. I don't know if you uncovered this in your research. I'm just so fascinated by this, but like, is it genetic? Like, are there some men that are just like predispositioned to have higher testosterone levels than others?
Oh yeah, it is a distribution. It is a spectrum. And, even women obviously have testosterone.
Right.
It's lower in level, and that's another distribution, and those distributions overlap. So, some women might have more than some other men. So, and I don't know the shape of the distribution, but I think it has a lot to do with also, ethnicity, biology. To me, everyone can maximize the testosterone. There's so many ways to do that. At the very least, you can avoid it going down. And that is what I did for a couple of months. It's just like experiment with ways where, you can keep it up.
Right. I guess, well, it's all relative, right? So like if you went through your whole life feeling like you had X sex drive and like feeling like that was sufficient for you, then that's not necessarily a problem if it's lower than someone else's. I think it becomes a problem, like what you said, when your sex drive takes a hit, or like you're just not feeling like you can kind of maximize gym time or whatever that may be.
Right.
Before we get into the specifics of what you did, maybe we can break down the symptoms you are feeling, just in case someone can relate. So low energy, low libido meaning what?
Let's take a quick break because I have an announcement. All right, everyone, you're hearing it here first. We would like to take our relationship IRL. We are inviting you, badass listeners, to be our VIP guests at our very first live Dateable podcast show in San Francisco. Whether you're trying to DTR or DTF, we'll answer all your burning questions about love, sex, and relationships, along with some surprise guests and, well, just some other surprises that we can't reveal right now. The event will be on Tuesday, December 10th, and it's free, but you have to get tickets because space is limited. Come and be our VIP guest at the very first Dateable Podcast live recording. Whether you're single, taken, or trying to figure it out, this show is for you. Get all the deets on our Facebook page, Instagram, or dateablepodcast.com/live. Now back to this episode.
Before we get into the specifics of what you did, maybe we can break down the symptoms you are feeling, just in case someone can relate. So low energy, Low libido meaning what? You're having less sex.
I was having less sex as a result of not having strong erections.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. And so, you have a bad erection and then you kind of feel like, this is not my problem. It's
spiral.
and then there's a spiral, exactly.
Right.
And then you have less and less sex because every time you feel like you want to, you just feel like you cannot perform.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so that just went down like a bad spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And then, obviously in the gym, I felt like I was just not making any progress.
Got it.
What about sleep?
I used to sleep well. I've always slept well. But then that's also part of this. REM plus deep was like an hour and a half. And so this process helped me kind of bring it up to 3 hours, which is so much better.
3 hours of REM sleep?
REM plus deep, both
Plus
together.
deep. Oh, that would be my dream. I'm like at 40,
Maybe you can
40
follow
minutes.
Amit's methodology that's about to come.
And there's not too many things. I think that is something that I don't want to like feel like I was kind of a freak.
Yeah.
That like I say I biohacked my way, but I don't want to call myself a biohacker because it kind of elicits some sort of like a freaky, like as if I'm doing too many things. I am doing too many things.
Trial and error of things that could work for you. It's also nice that you are married and you have this consistent partner you can test with.
Right. Yeah.
If you didn't have a consistent partner,
Like, how would you know?
yeah, it'd be hard to know if things were working or not.
Yeah. And so I think that was part of it as well. Like, while I was doing this, we used to have those kind of conversations about, is this working? Right? Like, every once in a while, and having a partner that is mature enough to have those kind of conversations where
That's part of your experiment too, right?
Right.
Was the feedback you were getting
feedback
from your
system, right? Like,
from your partner.
Did you like benchmark it? How did you like?
So it started, well, it went up and down, but it's like, like from 0 to 100, like how did it feel? Like a completely subjective score. And, like it started at like 60 or 70. And then at one point it went up to 95.
Wow.
So, you know what? Yeah, it worked.
So basically when you were having the issues, it was at like 60 for her.
Yes.
And then you would use that kind of as a gauge when you were testing some of this other stuff.
Right.
And what was happening at 95? Like, were there new positions being invented? What was happening?
Oh, let's get into that, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, so I think it is just, one is like, me being able to, maintain an erection for long enough.
Right.
Where, I used to feel this thing, if we switched positions, I'll lose it. And just thinking about that, I'd lose it.
Right.
And so, like
So much anxiety around
so much anxiety,
Right.
exactly. So I used to be in that phase where it's like, let's not change, let's not move, let's just
stay.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I could do multiple positions.
Oh,
Right.
more
Stay a little
versatility.
more, stay more consistent.
Stays longer.
And then the workout, like, also helps. Like if you want to be in specific positions, you need muscles to work and help you out.
Right.
And so, like, my whole workout schedule also helped in that.
The manhandling department.
The manhandling, exactly.
I mean, I think like from a woman's perspective, the best sex I've ever had has been with someone that could maintain an erection for a lot longer than like other people, right? That like was more flaccid.
Long enough. Not too long.
Right. You don't want to go to the ER.
This 8-hour shit. Fuck that. But long enough for me to get off.
Right, exactly.
I think it's like, at least 5 or 6 orgasms for the partner.
Yeah.
To me.
There we go.
That is,
5 or 6 orgasms?
Really?
In one session?
that will be the ultimate.
What?
Yeah.
I
You
feel like that's pretty standard.
Guys, they're both looking at me like I'm some sort of alien. What the fuck? Do most people have multiple orgasms in one session?
No, not me. My partner.
woman.
Right.
Yeah.
The woman. I can't do that.
What?
I feel like I always do.
Oh, there you
and
go.
the guy comes at the very end?
The very end. Or not at all. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, again, everyone has different testosterone levels.
Yes.
No. I gotta get an A+.
No.
I always celebrated with 1 orgasm, but now I gotta do 5? Shit. All right.
You got Amit's methodology.
Damn.
You're going to be the subject to see if it works for women.
Okay, so
Check
so
in
that's a
next
good
episode.
benchmark is how many orgasms she was getting.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Obviously, like I have friends who think differently.
Right.
Some are like totally into, having their partners have an orgasm, and others are like, oh no, that's not what I do.
Right.
That's not my job or whatever it is that I do.
I think
It depends on what your partner wants.
Depends.
It's
Yes.
harder
Right.
for some women to orgasm anyway.
Well, that's the
when they
same thing
enjoy-
about getting it up. It's not someone's fault per se.
Yeah.
It's just what is going on with their body, right?
So we can talk about what your methodology is now, specifically. So what did you try? What worked? What didn't?
I think there are 3 areas, right? Like one is the brain, the body, and behavior. I split them into 3 parts. I think brain has a significant amount of effect on everything, right? But libido also. So I wanted to reduce my stress levels, anxiety levels. So I can go down the list of supplements that I took. So starting with ashwagandha, which is an adaptogenic herb. It's used to help reduce stress, but also it's kind of a performance booster.
How do you spell that?
ASHWAGANDHA, ashwagandha.
You guys got that?
Well,
got it.
Well, put it in the show notes.
We didn't even get it. We're sitting right here, so I definitely don't think anyone else did.
You lost me at W.
Yeah, there's an easier way to remember that, which is, it's an Ayurvedic herb. Ashwa means horse, and gandha is smell. So this root smells like a horse.
Ashwagandha.
So if you look for horse smell supplement.
Okay, people will definitely remember that. So where do you get that? Is it like at like a Walgreens or like? You
can get it anywhere. Amazon? There's plenty of ashwagandha on Amazon.
Okay, so
you can go to
standard.
Standard. You can go to any of the supplement supply
like
kind
GMC
of companies
or whatever.
GMC or
GNC.
Clearly, I don't go to the supplement store.
It's a car.
Is that a car? Yeah, I was gonna say that's a car.
Clearly, I need to go to my supplement store to get this horse. What was it again?
Horse smell.
Horse smell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Manure.
I'll just go to GNC and be like, can I have some horse manure, please?
Yeah.
Will they know?
Lady.
Yeah, they will know. That
You're
is
crazy.
Probably the most popular one. I mean, you could go with like rhodiola. You could do ginseng. Panax ginseng, red ginseng, whatever. Like again, this is what I chose because I've used it before and I felt like this works for me.
But all herbal, like nothing non-natural.
Yes, nothing non-natural. The other thing is like I do my research on examine.com. I think it's like an amazing resource where if you want to look for supplements, if you want to change anything, libido is just one thing, but there's so many other things. You just like type in whatever supplement you're looking for or a condition that you have or an area or health goal that you want to fix. Examine.com. Again, I'm not affiliated with that, but super helpful.
Okay. Yeah. So you took supplements.
Yes. So
ashwagandha is one.
So ashwagandha is one because I feel like I just wanted to decrease my stress levels. So I've made a list. So the next is sleep. I think sleep was so much more important than everything else. It's like I knew I was getting good enough sleep, but not enough.
Because it bleeds into the rest of your day.
It really does.
Good sleep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like stress levels are high. Stress levels kind of mess up your hormone levels. And your hormone levels obviously have a direct impact on your libido and testosterone.
So if you want to have more sex, have more sleep.
Have more sleep.
Yeah.
Have more sleep.
Better quality sleep.
If you want to fill in whatever you want, have more sleep.
Sleep is the answer.
Sleep is the answer. So many things. I mean, sleep hygiene is like I stopped using my phone at least 30 minutes before sleeping. I had valerian root tea. I had a melatonin supplement. If you use some of these devices, the blue light reduces melatonin, which your body produces itself. And if it produces less, you get less sleep. So
no affiliation, but I was going to say the Casper Glow Light has like put me to bed like that.
The light has
yeah.
You
love that.
I like fall asleep so fast now. I used to have to read to fall asleep.
So sleep also has like these different stages. And so, from the previous company that I was working for, we used to track sleep. One of the important things is also like to buy yourself a tracker and a tracker that tracks these different stages of sleep. So Garmin does a pretty good job. Apple Watch is okay, but Garmin, especially the Vivo Sport.
I have my Fitbit, which has been great.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like it will tell you whether you're going to sleep fast enough, and that most people consider that as an indication for good sleep. Like you can get to sleep quicker. But if you keep waking up, you don't have enough REM sleep.
That's not good.
Yeah, it isn't good.
Yeah.
Okay, so better sleep.
Better sleep, and there's plenty of supplements. The next one was fish oil. Now this is controversial. I take fish oil because I'm genetically predisposed to higher level of cholesterol, and to me, I feel like if I take fish oil, I can control my cholesterol level. There are studies that have shown that fish oil, works. Other studies have shown that it doesn't work.
Really?
But to me, and this is where things get a little moved from objective to subjective, right? I mean, there's this objective, I can look at Examine and they'll kind of give you a list of studies which show one way or the other. But subjectively, I feel better when I'm taking fish oil supplements. I'm just putting it out there.
Are there studies that say it has a negative effect on health?
There have been studies that has shown that it has long-term negative effects. Now, there's a whole thing about, the quality of the fish oil, the freshness of the fish oil, where it's packed, where it's picked up from. And so, and plus fish oil is sometimes it's kind of has other oils in it, depending on who's made it. I don't want to name names, but
obviously. So that one's more of a see if it works for you type of thing.
I give Mojo fish oil. he won't
Has he
tell
been
me if
having
he
better
likes
sex?
Yeah.
He sure is. And deeper sleep. Right, Moj? Yeah.
We get a sample size of 2 over here.
For anybody who doesn't know, Mojo is my dog.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, it's just a
Really
random
weird
person
if I
sitting
was
here.
talking about a boyfriend or something.
Yeah, also, his name was Mojo. Got that mojo back. Okay.
Okay, next on the list.
Next on the list, yes. So, there's a supplement called the horny goatweed.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about
the
this.
horny
Yes.
goat weed?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm definitely going to remember that one.
Epimedium, that's what the name is. But, I took it for a little bit. It has some elements of other supplements that I was taking, vitamin B6, B12. Did
For
not take
energy.
it for energy. Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't take it for
Energy's
as
a big
long, but
one.
like someone else can try that out and see what happens to them. I was perfectly fine. Oh, maca root is the other one.
Maca?
Oh.
Maca root. There's a specific gelatinized maca root available on Amazon that's pretty good.
Oh.
And so that is good for libido.
Like
That just
all of the maca treats that are out there and like drinks, or is it different?
maca as in not matcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, maca drinks? Julie, what are you drinking?
There's a lot of green stuff out there, but that is matcha. And maca is like very...
I love a maca latte.
I'm just going to go into Starbucks and order that tomorrow after
Well,
I
you
go
can.
to GNC.
To be fair, it is really hot today, so we're all delirious, okay? All right.
I clearly just don't know my supplements is really the...
Yeah, don't go asking for matcha because that'll do something else to you.
That's not going to help you out.
Not
Yeah.
with your libido.
Absolutely not.
So did you like change your diet at all, or was it mostly
there's more.
you're going
Oh,
there?
there's so much more.
Yeah, see,
Okay,
put a list
sorry,
out.
but don't want to jump ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to like leave out any of these.
Yeah,
because
please
what
don't
if,
leave it out.
What if it doesn't work for someone else? And,
Keep going.
Well, there's probiotics and prebiotics. I think that's super important, especially if you have GI issues. And figuring out which ones work for you. Prebiotics, I didn't take supplements. I kind of stuck to my dietary changes, so like onions and garlic. But then probiotics, I increased the amount of yogurt that I had, but also took a few probiotic supplements.
What is
some more
GI for
bacteria.
anyone that doesn't know?
Gastrointestinal.
Okay, great.
Yes, I just say GI because it's such a long word to
Yeah.
you. But,
Yeah.
and I've had such a sensitive one, so
Got
it
it.
keeps coming up in my searches. So,
I think we all have GI issues. Some of us just learn to cope with it and
Yeah.
deal with it. But if you really think about it, sometimes you're just really uncomfortable after eating.
I don't know. It really depends what I eat.
Yeah.
That's what I found with changing diet. That's why I asked you that earlier. But keep
Absolutely.
going on the list.
Well, there's creatine that I was taking before my workouts. Just to
Okay.
get,
And you're still
performance
taking
booster.
that?
Still
Okay.
taking that. And then protein right after my workout. That was interesting when one of my nutritionist friends said, don't go to a workout when you're calorie deficit, which I was doing. I'd just wake up and be like, oh, I'm going for my
The
workout.
fasted workout. That's what I do.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah. But they're saying that's not
Yeah,
good.
like you should not be calorie deficit. If you've had a big dinner, then it's kind of okay. But
Yeah.
like even a banana is totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
something in your stomach.
Something
that
in your
makes
stomach,
sense.
Right.
And then right after the workout, like have a protein drink or supplement that works for you. So that was, and then the elimination part. So sugar, alcohol, and carbs. So it's eating.
Oh, that's the hardest.
Well, I was going to say that's when I felt the best, is when I was basically doing that diet. I mean, I didn't eliminate alcohol, let's be honest, but I did eliminate sugar and carbs, and it made a huge difference in
That's
energy
so hard.
levels.
Absolutely.
Huge difference.
Absolutely.
Let's hold that thought for a sec. We'll get right back to it.
This episode is sponsored by Via. We all know there are things that can help set the mood in the bedroom, but did you know a little THC could also do that? Yes, Via has developed a unique blend of pleasure-enhancing cannabinoids, libido-strengthening herbs, and a low dose of THC all into one mind-blowing gummy called High Love. This gummy, wow, it will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. I've been pleasantly surprised by the High Love gummies because it is just the right amount of THC for me to have a good time without feeling sleepy. And hey, if THC is not your thing, Via also offers a wide array of other gummies without it. And everything legally ships in 50 states with discreet packaging directly to your door. So if you're over 21, you can get 15% off and a free pack of award-winning Dreams THC plus CBN sleep gummies with our exclusive code DATEABLE at viahemp.com. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Let the gummies work their magic. Head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off and one free sample of their Sleepy Dream gummies. gummies. That's viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. Take your passion and pleasure to a whole new level with High Love from Via Hemp.
As you know, I recently left my corporate job and I've been in total recovery mode, all about self-care. One of my new routines is the nighttime shower before bed. There's just something about washing away the day and that reflection that's been super helpful for me. I've been using one of our partners, Osea's Mega Moisture Duo. This combo body oil and body lotion are so freaking incredible. It literally feels like I'm at a spa. I realized that the secret is seaweed and other skin level ingredients that are normally reserved for face products. And that's why I was so excited when Osea became one of our partners. And, we're so grateful for partners like this because one, they keep the show going, but they're also super good for all of our listeners and for our own well-being. So if you want to have that nighttime bliss like I am doing, you can get 10% off your first order site-wide with code DATEABLE at oseamalibu.com. You'll get free samples with every order and free shipping on orders over $60. So head to oseamalibu.com and use the code DATEABLE for 10% off. Let us know which products you end up going with. Share them in social. Super excited to see what you end up choosing.
This episode is made possible by Badlands Pets. As you all know, Mojo, my precious baby, is the reason why I found love in the first place. He made me feel love again. So I would do anything to ensure his health and longevity. And actress Katherine Heigl and I have that in common. She's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to improve any dog's health, and that's their food. So fortunately, she found that just by adding a few special superfoods to her dog's food, she saw huge transformations in their health. So she's made a 20-minute video explaining step by step how anyone can do the same thing to see incredible changes in their dog's health. I've definitely re-looked at what I'm feeding Mojo and making sure that, hey, he only has one life to live, and I want to make sure it's the best damn life. So if you want to keep your dog healthy and happy, go to badlandsfood.com/dateable and watch Catherine's video right now. Again, that's badlandsfood.com/dateable.
And I think, again, that has an impact on your GI. I think sugar and alcohol.
Yeah.
And alcohol.
And alcohol.
And also
exactly.
it's like, if your energy's up, if you're feeling like, I think for me, it was just felt better in my body, right? Because it was healthier. So it's you're going to feel more sexual.
Right. Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely. And I think I know alcohol had a direct impact on my quality of erection. So
right.
It's it's having a long-term as well as short-term effect.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah.
The upside of alcohol is it gets things going a little, right? On dates and such.
Right.
But you can't go too much. Or,
you got to know your limit.
Right. Because obviously for men, but then also for women, you can just pass out and not be ready to go either. So I know you might still have a list of more things that you've done.
Yes.
Is there more? And any major ones?
Let's take a quick break for now. So we've been talking about biohacks for your libido. How about biohacking your way to better skin and hair? Blackwood for Men grooming products are packed with natural botanicals, things like green tea, ginseng, and licorice root that naturally restore and protect your skin and hair while you wash with them. It's premium grooming without the premium cost, especially because we've got a special deal for you Dateable listeners. Just go to blackwoodformen.com and use the code DATEABLE to get 25% off your entire purchase. Again, that's blackwoodformen.com and use the code DATEABLE for 25% off. Now back to the show.
So I know you might still have a list of more things that you've done. Yeah, any major ones that kind of
workout is the biggest.
Okay.
Your large muscle group workouts is super important for your testosterone. Just naturally add to it. Mm-hmm. But I think to me, I used to do the entire lower body, upper body. Somehow me feeling like I'm in better shape kind of adds the whole mentally I'm feeling much better.
It really helps mentally.
Right. Is that why all the men are bench pressing all the time?
Bench pressing, abs. Abs is was so important, like, to hold a
stability.
position.
Yeah.
True.
When you're in a position and you're vibrating, that's not sexy at all.
You really have to be
Right.
in shape to have sex. I feel like when I felt like out of shape, it's like, oh my God, this is not the same experience than when you're like in shape. Like never was the best than like when I was like running marathons.
When you're doing the bird dog one-legged helicopter, you gotta be on point.
Absolutely. You can't be
That's
like
not a real position, by the way.
like,
what?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
It's not gonna give you 5 orgasms, so
I mean, or maybe that's the reason why I haven't been getting 5 orgasms. I've been just trying to balance this whole time. Oh, guys, I thought it was just like yoga.
too much mental
Yoga
going
session.
on for you. You gotta just let it go.
I gotta let it go. Missionary it is.
So okay, this was like a bunch of stuff at once, right? Like how
did you do? Yeah. Did you
like,
take it all at once, or were you
Right.
doing
Oh,
introducing
yes.
one at a time?
I'm glad you asked
gotta
that.
A/B test that shit, right?
Right. So you should. You must. One must. So I started taking some of these supplements all at the same time, and like I used to take like this other supplement and glutamine. Somehow it was like irritating my GI, so I stopped taking it. But I did it all at the same time, which is not a good idea. You
At
should
the same time, in terms of like literally at
literally
the same time.
Monday morning and go.
Lay it out and just
Yeah,
boom.
like I have an entire drawer full of all kinds of supplement bottles, and I had a schedule like printed out on the refrigerator because there are some supplements you need to take with food and others without
right,
food.
right.
But, there's all of that. I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Okay.
I think it's important to take one supplement and wait for a week, then take another one, see how it's
Get a
kind
rating,
of affecting. Right. Problem
see if
with that,
it's a 95 or not.
at some point you need to kind of bring it all together. But doing that takes so long.
Right.
Like you may just not see any results.
Right.
And so you're more likely to fall off the bandwagon and just want to go, take an ED pill.
Right.
Like,
Right.
And I kid, it's not going to be 60 to 95 in 1 week.
Yeah. No. Totally. Right.
No, you gotta have discipline and patience for this.
It's like going to the gym. Like you can't expect to lose like a shit ton of weight in
Right.
like 1 week, right? It's like how long, like end to end, would you say that you kind of started this whole experiment to like where you are today?
Now I've reduced the number of supplements I take. I just do ashwagandha and fish oil. That's all.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, and now it's like full, just workouts, better sleep.
So how many months was that?
Like I did all of this for 2 to 3 months, 2.5
Okay.
months. Yeah,
Got it.
When did you really start feeling the effect?
2 months after, I think. Yes.
Okay, so about 2 months after.
And so I kept going, and then after that just stopped, because at some point supplements just become too much. And I felt like, I could work out enough.
Right.
Now I can bench 120 and I can go more, but, I got this shoulder injury also from, these experiments.
Too much sex.
Well,
That 95, that whatever.
That bird dog, one-legged helicopter.
let's just say like I was trying to avoid falling down.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Got
Yes,
it.
yes.
Superman.
So, stretching is super important
Yeah.
before and after.
Understood.
Yeah.
So 2 months for you to really feel the effects, but it sounds like all these supplements jump-started your change. And once you got that jump start, you said, okay, I can kind of pause on some of them and just take the ones that are really important. Because I've also heard if you rely too much on supplements, your body gets used to it. Like melatonin, you can't take it every night.
Yeah.
Because then your body
Right.
stops producing it. Kind of have to like jolt your body back.
Right.
Right.
So supplements have this a couple of things. One is a half-life. And so that's something that not many people, it's like if you take a supplement, it'll kind of go away from your system after some time. You need to build up those levels. But then the next thing is a plateau. Like you can't build it up beyond a certain level. And so, that is something that you should, keep in mind.
So you mentioned you're still exercising, which has so many health benefits beyond just good sex. But then also, like, I know you mentioned, like, you cut out sugar and carbs and alcohol. How much of that have you maintained, or is there some of that kind of came back into your life?
I thought that was interesting. I feel like every time I biohack, like I've done some of these things before, not for libido, like I build some good habits and eliminate bad habits. So all of a sudden now I avoid bread or carbs in general. It just becomes so easy now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it for libido. It's just like, when I look at it, I don't have it.
You don't
Got
miss it.
it.
I don't miss it at all.
But some things like you brought back in.
Some things, so I'll have alcohol once in a while.
Got it.
Once in a while is like maybe 2 to 3 times a week, but not overdo it.
Right.
And cannabis was another thing. Like, there are a couple of strains that I can recommend that work for me, which now has continued. So I still use them.
Got it.
Prefer to use them before.
That's like a natural supplement in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. So I guess what does your wife think of all this?
She is happy with the result. But, she used to tease me, about, the supplement drawer. There were so many supplements in my drawer. I had to, pull the drawer out and then put it on the kitchen counter to, figure out which ones. And so she was kind of, amused with that.
Yeah.
With that whole thing. But she's happy that I used to work out a lot when we met. I used to work out a lot. She feels happy that, that's come back. And I've, lost weight. And,
right. And you probably feel better. So that also seeps in too, right?
Yeah. I would be so impressed if my partner spent this much time and energy on improving his health.
Right. Well, I'll take this to takeaways, because I think my biggest takeaway from this is that it's not my problem or your problem. It's how do we work together to figure this out? Yes, your wife can't physically be the one taking the supplement. So in some cases, there is more onus on one person over the other. But instead of just doing the blame game, I love this whole notion of let's make it fun. Let's make it something that we track and see how it improves, and make it that we're kind of on this experiment together. And I think that is the best way to deal with it, opposed to passing blame or just feeling guilt or all the stuff that does come with sexual malfunctions.
I think a friend of mine said it really well, where if two of you are in a relationship and if you have a problem, if you can decouple the problem from the two of you, you can solve that more quickly. And so I feel that kind of applies to the way I think about this. There's a problem and just fix it, and there's no harm fixing it. I
mean, the other takeaway I have too is that sex is a huge part of relationships. So I feel a lot of times we don't want to discuss when something's not working in the bedroom, but it's any other conflict that you have in your relationship. You don't address it, you're going to get resentful. And it's better to kind of put it on the table and try to work towards a solution than feel I never want to have sex with my partner anymore because I just can't get it up, or they don't want to have sex with me because they don't enjoy it. This whole thing, it's just, that's a bad slippery slope.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway is what we do with the information we have about ourselves. I think we live in an age where we're constantly taking personality tests, constantly tracking our health, our genes. But then what do we do with that information? I love the fact that you took in that information. You were curious about why your libido was getting lower, your energy was getting lower, and not just accept it. I think a lot of people tend to get stuck in I'm just this way. Right. Or my genes are this way. That's just the way my personality is. Well, if you want to change it, you actually can. So what we do with that information is way more important than gathering that information.
Yes.
I think there's also this thing with health and wellness. There's so much of information out there. Every time we read about it, I think all of us make this decision whether this doesn't apply to me. It applies to this person, this other person, and most of it will not apply to you until you try it out for yourself. And so that's I think just a general mindset of being a biohacker yourself. I think everyone should be, and they should treat everything as N of 1. If it doesn't matter what a commentator says or blogger says, just see if it works for you, and if you kind of have that mindset, try it out.
And not saying drugs or anything that's not medically proven, but anything that's something that is natural, or let's say you want to try a keto or paleo diet, and it turns out that you actually are really deprived and you find yourself gorging. Maybe it doesn't work for you, but maybe you actually do find that it gives you better energy. You don't mind and miss the carbs and sugar. I think until you try it, you don't really.
And what I think people can take away from this discussion is not so much your recipe for what worked for you, but so much the methodology, what you were able to do, the timeline you were on, how you were feeling before and how you felt after. Those are great barometers for how people can gauge their own methodology.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't have to be data oriented. You don't have to be objective. It's subjective is still totally fine.
Yeah, to that point, you don't need a partner. If you're in a situation where you're single, it could just be how do you feel on a day to day. It doesn't have to necessarily be I'm killing it in the bedroom at 95 or whatever. It can just be a simple check-in with yourself.
Yeah, my secret is always, I promote this supplement all the time. It's evening primrose oil for any women who feel like their libido has lowered or their energy has lowered or they're getting cramps more and more. It's worked for me. I can't say it's going to work for everyone, but it's done wonders for me. And I've been taking it for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
See, that's a fine example of in general, there are plenty of people who kind of claim that, this is not scientific, but, there are so many experiments that are scientific, just that they haven't been, funded funded by large companies doesn't mean that it isn't science. If, the oil makes you feel better and makes you sleep better, then that's your N of 1 and that's science for you. And so that is totally justified to do what feels good to you.
That's also a great point, because it's not so much about what the media promotes, because those are funded by big companies. Like for a while, milk was so good for you. Now milk is not bad for you. So for a long time, this sort of sugary drink was good for you. Now it's bad for you. So we can't listen to what the propaganda is out there. You just have to go and experiment and see for yourself.
I think the other big takeaway too is you don't have to be the best. You don't have to have the highest.
No, you do. I need 6 orgasms, 7 to beat you all.
See, this is the problem with comparison though, because you were probably I'm having a great sex life with just 1, and now you're like, fuck, no, I'm not.
Yeah, now I need a serious conversation. I think couples therapy.
To the point the point you brought up earlier, Amit, is know your own body, your own self. What's the best you can be, not necessarily what's the best of the best, right?
And what does your partner want?
Right.
I mean, that has come up so many times. I think porn is one of those things. I haven't open. It's you don't have to perform like that. I know folks, partners who like it one way, and that's all it is. And if that is what they like, that is what they like.
Yeah.
Right.
And be perfectly okay with that. Just own your sex life in a way.
Right.
Yes, own your sex life.
And I think the other thing I thought was super interesting is sometimes your sex life, experimentation abilities, is deeply rooted to your wellness overall. The point you brought up around I wasn't going to try multiple positions because I was afraid. That's really interesting that just by feeling better, you might actually get more exploratory and open to trying new things in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And the reverse, also helps. If you're good once, then you get better and better and better. So I think it's just a matter of starting to do something, and then the wheels will turn the other way.
Right. Cool.
Shall we do question of the day? Question of the day comes from Robert. He says, I recently had sex with someone I've been dating, and I had trouble getting it up. I didn't drink a ton of alcohol or anything, and not sure what is going on, as I'm wildly attracted to her. Now I can't stop thinking about it, and every time we go to have sex, it becomes an issue for me. Any advice? So I guess we don't have to go into the methodology and the remedy, but any advice for him to get out of his head next time he has sex with this new girl that he's wildly attracted to?
I mean, I think a couple of things. This has happened to me where, the partner is so, attractive that you feel there's a performance anxiety that comes to me. It just comes up and you're maybe she's, in my case, she has been with other folks who are much better than me. I don't know if my skills match up.
Yeah.
I think that is something that, you just need to forget about. It's you are who you are, and your partner will also know that. And every couple has a different chemistry. And so you should just own your method and have a conversation. I think that is, it is very hard to do when you're early in the relationship. You feel like you need to just impress. And that can, put you in a bad spot. So
I agree.
I would not do that. I mean, I think cannabis helps a lot. Just kind of calming you down, immediately. Now you can't tell a partner that you're so attracted to and just started seeing that I'll take three months and I'll come back with a better, you can't do that.
No.
So just in the moment, maybe cannabis has helped. The XJ13 helps me, sour diesel helps me. That has worked for me. I think that is something that I would do. ED pills, I just would not.
Stay away.
Stay away if you can.
Yeah.
What does ED stand for?
Erectile dysfunction.
Okay.
Yeah. I would stay away from them. Yeah.
Just want everyone to know not to do ED pills.
What I also feel, I've taken them and I've experienced the bad effects of it. What it also does is as a guy that you have taken these pills.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're you know what? Now it's going to come up just because I've taken these pills. That could mess you up in a different way.
Well, and also media portrayal, you see these commercials for ED pills and it's older men who are, in their 60s. And you don't relate to that image yet.
Yes.
So you don't think that's your problem yet.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just trying to think of from a woman's perspective, we talked about earlier, and this has come up for me too, you feel it's something about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the more he can kind of make it clear that it's not about her, like verbally say like how beautiful she is or how attracted he is to her, like he is to her, like the more he can do that stuff or get her off like by going down on her, like there's other ways that he can like do that too. But I think just being open about like what could be going on and probably just trying to drink less alcohol too.
Yeah.
I know he mentioned like he has already tried that, but maybe even limiting it like completely.
Yeah, get one variable out of the way. It's the easiest one to get out of the way first. I would say personally, this has happened to me so many fucking times. I have this running joke with my friends that when I lived in New York, my number of partners didn't go up because I slept with so many men who couldn't get it up. So
oh my God.
Penetration never happened.
Is that how you break down the numbers?
Yeah, my number is only 3. But the thing is, for many of those circumstances, and I think also we were really young in our early 20s, none of the men addressed it.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of them ghosted me right after, which made me feel more like shit. I remember this one time I met this guy at this fancy museum party, and we had this wonderful night together, and we go back to his place, and I'm very much looking forward to sleeping with him. He couldn't get it up. He kept apologizing profusely, and I was like, it's fine. We had a lovely evening. It's totally fine. Next morning we get up. It's in his head. He can't get it up again. I'm like, it's totally fine. Let's go to brunch. Never heard from him again. And in my head, I just kept thinking, why can't you just own up to it? Right. Say that, I really wanted to perform. It didn't happen for us last night, but I still want to see you again, or let's keep trying. That would have made it a much better scenario for me. But then I just went home, kind of like nothing really happened, and I feel bad about myself. He probably feels bad about himself. It's just not a good scenario. So I would just say for you, Robert, just own up to it. Talk about it openly and let her know that you acknowledge the fact that you want to get it up and you are working on it.
Right.
And if you have the right partner, she will understand.
Exactly. And if she's not understanding, great filter.
Absolutely. That's a good opportunity to ghost.
Yeah. Bye. Cool. Anything else on this topic?
Well, I mean, I know you have a podcast kind of about this topic. So what kind of
relevant.
Tell us about the podcast, and then like, did this inspire it?
Yeah. So the podcast is called the Hellness Podcast, and the two of you were on it. It's about the proverbial hell of health and wellness, and so many choices that are presented to us. And what we talk about every week is either someone who's built a product or had a process or is behind a policy that helps health and wellness. And that is something that I'm excited about. Every time I have a guest, there's so much to learn in whatever they're doing. Yes, every episode is about learning from someone who's done something in health and wellness. And that might help you. Maybe not.
Cool. Where can you find it?
And you can find it on gutworks.co/the Hellness Podcast.
And you'll be on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the big ones.
The podcast app, just about everyone.
Cool.
All of them. Yes. All the good ones.
All the good ones.
And was it like this experiment that kind of made you want to do this, or was there other inspiration that you...
I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time. In fact, the company I worked for, Biomarker, was about this, helping users figure out if a supplement or a meal plan or a juice or juice cleanse, for instance, worked for them or not. So this is something that I've done even as a kid. In fact, I had so many GI issues just keep coming up. Like, and as a kid, my parents helped me biohack into a better, GI system. So I've done that for a very long time. And so this is just a manifestation of all these different experiments and just the curiosity of finding out how I can make myself better.
You should do this as a side hustle.
A side hustle.
Consulting gig.
They help people biohack themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many people doing it. I try to be careful when I say I'm a biohacker because there are some folks who are so good and they're so much better, with all the data that they collect. Like, I want to be real as well. I don't want to be too freaky.
But you found something that works for you, which is the most important thing because you live in your own body. So everybody just needs to find something that works for them. I really appreciate the list. Was there more on the list?
I think we covered most of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it should be. there's devices, tests. Tests. Get blood tests done. The best way to get it.
Important.
Yes, the best way to measure testosterone is to get a blood test. You can also do some of these test kits that send you home. Some of these test kits are saliva test kits, which measure only free testosterone. Free testosterone doesn't attach to your blood proteins, and so that is some sort of an indicator of your full testosterone, but it's not a complete indicator. And there are other problems of when you like have your saliva taken, what you've eaten before that. Blood test is so much better. It's an inconvenience, but I would just do it.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know there was untethered testosterone just roaming around.
I mean, you could be fine with full testosterone, but like you could be low on free testosterone, which can have a problem with.
Wow, there's so much more to read up about.
So complicated, yet so fascinating.
So fascinating.
At the same time.
Biology is fascinating.
Well, I'm really bad at goodbyes, so we're going to wrap this up and not really say goodbye, but promote your podcast, which I think everyone should listen to, because you always learn something new, even with our podcast. You may not find someone's dating solution or methodology something you would do, but you can learn something from it. It's the exact same thing. We're not prescribing, we're just learning.
Right.
That's it. And on that note, I think that was a brilliant way to end this. Thank you so much, Amit, for coming on Dateable, a show about dating and data today.
Thank you for having me.
We're hitting it all. And last but not least, stay dateable. In this episode, we talked about everything related to biohacking your libido and testosterone levels. But what about some ways you can biohack your way to better skin and hair? And that's why we have Jeff from Blackwood for Men here, which is a line of premium men's grooming products made in Japan. Jeff, what do you think about this?
Well, I heard you guys talk a lot about supplements in this episode. And if you're looking for solutions that don't go as far as prescriptions to get thicker hair or better looking skin or less acne or get rid of dandruff, there's all kinds of natural ingredients that can help to do that. That's what our products are full of. Things like green tea and ginseng and licorice root. Ooh. And these are natural ingredients. You can get them in Blackwood products at a special price. We have a special code, a promo code, just for Dateable listeners. It's 25% off your entire purchase at blackwoodformen.com. And just go there and use the code Dateable.
Can I just say ginseng, licorice root, and green tea are also used to increase libido? 2 birds with 1 stone. Thanks, Jeff. Want to continue the conversation? First, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the handle @DateablePodcast. Tag us in any post with the hashtag StayDateable, and trust us, we look at all of those posts. Then head over to our website, dateablepodcast.com. There you'll find all the episodes as well as articles, videos, and our coaching service with vetted industry experts. You can also find our premium Why series, where we dissect, analyze, and offer solutions to some of the most common dating conundrums. We're also downloadable for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Overcast, Stitcher Radio, and other podcast platforms. Your feedback is valuable to us, so don't forget to leave us a review. And most importantly, remember to stay dateable.